everyone. Welcome to SureFire Live. Uh, Hope you're having a good day, and hope we have a good conversation tonight. I have wanted to talk about some articles that I read about kind of the future of what we do, and also the future of business. I think as I get a little bit older, I think of what it looks like next. I used to be the young guy in the business. Now I'm the old guy in the business, and it's an interesting time. And as we get older, that's just how you think. You think what's next for the business, what's next for the next generation. And so tonight, I just want to talk about it. Last week was a really interesting conversation with Chat GPT and artificial intelligence and what's coming down the pike. And that episode itself I had a lot of feedback from it. A lot of people kept talking about it. A lot of people responded to me in private, different people talking to me, my employees, people who saw it about what I showed. And I think it was fascinating. I've used it a lot this week. All of a sudden in 1 week, it's become almost my go-to. It's almost like a search engine for me. As I'm working on something, I put something in there to just check my thoughts, and it will give me a new thought, or it will send it a different direction. I was working on what's called a pitch deck for another business I've got another business starting that we are showing this program, and I'll show it to everybody when it gets closer, but we have to write a pitch deck for this presentation that we're getting ready to do in a contest for new businesses. And it helped me write the pitch deck, and it helped me be funny, and it helped me think of different things that I didn't know. And I was going to show a few things that I did with AI this week on this episode. And so, in fact, I may just start the show with that. I do want a couple updates and also two-way conversation. Please say hi to me. It always makes the show better for me, more fun when I have interaction with everybody. And again, I wouldn't mind even having if you guys have questions for AI. My wife said I should have AI as my guest. And there's a way to do it. You can literally have a fake person respond. It looks like a person, but he's responding to you with AI technology, and you can interview him. And I've seen it before, and I may play around with that a little bit. Hey, JJ, how are you doing? I hope you're doing all right, man. Is that Croatia trip coming up for you? I know I want to get back there. JJ has family from there. He goes there every year. He's the first guy I really knew that went there, and it made me wonder what that was about. And now that I've been there, I know what he's talking about. But he's a guy out in California. Always great to see him. Hey, Mr. Trumbull. I talked about you last week on my podcast. You and Steve, about what a great dad you are and what a great supporter you are of Steve and his thing. And I love that relationship you guys have in the business. Hey, Jeremy, what's up? You're one of my favorite subjects, Jeremy. And hey, May 17th, cool, man. It's coming up. How long are you going to stay out there? We were there I think a week, but man, I could have stayed a lot longer. I only saw Dubrovnik area, but there's so much more to see. And I want to get back there. It's one of my favorite. Just loved it. The food was good. The people were nice. Weather was amazing. The scenery was crazy cool. And it's just like no place you've ever been before. And it's kind of like a secret a little bit. I mean, Game of Thrones made it pretty popular, but it's one of my go-to places. There's a few places in the world I would move, and New Zealand was one, and Croatia was another one. And I liked Vancouver, Canada too. It was really cool. I don't know that I moved there, but as far as outside, I loved Italy and other places we've traveled, but places you could really feel good. Croatia was like that, surprisingly. I never heard of it really till a few years ago, and it's kind of like a secret. It used to be, Yugoslavia back in the day, but when they broke it up and Croatia became one of the countries, Montenegro, several others over there, Albania, I believe. But Croatia, it's not like what I thought Yugoslavia in my mind was, like a Slavic, cold, poor, terrible. No, this is the Mediterranean, beautiful. Everything was great. So anyway, cool. So welcome. So I wanted to talk about, for me, part of my business growth is I'm also in powder coating. That's what this company is, Brotech. And this week we moved a huge machine. I got a contract to powder coat this certain very popular line of drinkware where we do about 1,500 like thermal like cups, like you've seen them, like you drink out of and it keeps it cold, like Yeti, but it's not the brand Yeti, but it's a very big brand. And I can't say the name yet. They haven't given me the approval to say the name yet, but we got a big contract. But to get the big contract, they actually, I can't go into the details, but a big assembly line machine came with the contract. And there was no way to do, they've got like 1,500 cups a day, like 500,000 of these cups to do 4 sizes. It's fascinating. I've shown a little bit on my social media, but I had to move that machine today out of their facility, not today, last week, out of their facility and get it set up in my powder coating facility 20 miles away. Well, this machine is 100 feet long. It was broken into 2 sections, but one of the sections that has the ovens and all the assembly line chain and all that, they had 2 10,000-pound forklifts on each end of it, lifting it up to get it out a door. I had to cut a much bigger door out of the warehouse that it was coming out of and put it all back together. It was wider than the door because they brought it in and assembled it inside. So there's no way to get it back out without disassembling, and that wasn't going to happen. 2 10,000-pound tow motors, totally at max, moving this thing through the floor and then down a ramp and then up onto a big flatbed, a big low boy trailer that had to have escorts, wide load going down the road. You talk about nervous. I mean, I had a lot riding on this working and not crashing and not disintegrating on the interstate, or something wasn't buckled down right, or somebody made a bad turn in front of our huge thing. But man, it worked flawlessly. It's in our new facility. It rolled out. I'm going to put a video of it together. And there's a company that moves it for me. I'm not moving it myself. And they disconnected the whole thing, put all the power back together, the air. It's a really big project, but it's going to open up a lot of doors for us. But that was exciting this week. It was a very busy, hectic week, and watching that happen was exciting. We planned it out for months. I've owned the line since November, and all the employees came with it. So we had to get it out of their building, and this was the month I had to be out by March 1st, and we got out. So it was good. Another thing, I don't know how much detail I want to get into this, but I almost got attacked downtown Nashville a couple nights ago. I was dropping a friend off, and the reason I'm saying this is I just want to say it, but evil can find you. Evil you can be doing absolutely nothing wrong, and all of a sudden you're into the middle of some crap. And that's what I found myself in the middle of. And I don't know if I'll go into it tonight, but this guy came out of the blue at me, attacking, yelling, screaming. I was in my car and he was at my window just going crazy. And I was trying to drop this friend off, and they were trying to go inside. And this guy just out of the blue was screaming a lot of cuss words. And there was no way I was going to run from it, because I just had to face it. I just had to go back at this guy. Like, I know that could be dangerous. Maybe that's stupid. Maybe you should just run, but I just couldn't as a man. I just could not. I was not going to let this guy do this. I also have some, self-protection equalizer on me. And so, are right there. And it gave me a peace of mind, but not that it was ever the thing that was going to happen, because it didn't turn violent yet. But this guy was at my window, and he was yelling at me to get the hell out of the way. And I can't really go into it, but my point is, at any point, you need to be able to protect yourself in this world. Evil can find you. I have weapons, but I also have non-lethal. There's a thing called a Byrna, B-Y-R-N-A. If you want to look it up, it's a non-lethal way to get somebody off of you. But my point is, you need to protect yourself in this world. if unless you want to be a victim, and I'm not saying I couldn't be a victim because it could have been, but I also had an ability to fight back. And I think as this world gets a little crazier, you have to have an ability to protect yourself, your family, your house, your country, your person. And I'm glad I had the ability to do that, but did not have to do anything with it. But it gave me peace of mind to have it. So that's my public service message. I don't know if I'm sure people won't agree with that. I don't think JJ agrees with that, but that's what happened to me. And could have been a very different broadcast this week if it had gone south, but it didn't. Another thing, speaking of going south, my daughter is in a boxing match this Friday night. I couldn't be more nervous. She's in a boxing match for charity. She's fighting for our kids. If you want to donate, it's on her website page, evanstoner.com. And she is she is ready. I'm so nervous. I mean, she's going to fight. She's given it everything she could. No matter what happens, it's fine. But it's also not fine because I'm going to watch my daughter get in a serious fight with another person that's been boxing and training longer and as hard as she has. The good thing about my daughter, she hits like a ton of bricks, man. She can hit. The bad thing is she can get hit. She's kind of easy to hit, but man, she can take a punch and she's going to deliver punches. So I'm excited. I got 12 people coming to stay at our house this Friday night. So it's going to be kind of crazy. And lastly, I want to thank John Pilger and Diane for coming to stay with us in Nashville. They came and stayed at our chocolate themed Airbnb that's right next to our chocolate shop. And they went to a soccer game. Nashville kicked their butt, which was great. And then they stayed with us. And John had some health scares, as most people know. And he's just a trooper, man. He's just such an inspiration, such a hardworking, good guy. And it was great to have them. So let's start with let me just show you what I did with AI this week. I think I can share the screen. So I asked AI. So this is a different AI program called midjourney.ai. And what it does is it renders photographs. It makes photographs or pictures for you out of just whatever you say. And you saw a lot of people take selfies and then it made you in all these different futuristic looks, but you don't even have to give it a selfie. You can just tell it what you want out of text. It'll make it. So I gave it this prompt. I said, make a chimney sweep in a steampunk style art form with smoke and fire as a background. And I'm going to show you what it made. It's fascinating. Let's see, share screen. Window, here it is, share. So let me see if you can see this. So this is what it did. Isn't that wild? I mean, it's crazy how detailed that is. You could do something with it. And that was in 2 minutes. No, maybe just a little bit longer. I think it might have taken 3 minutes to draft all of these. And I could have put a slightly different word in there and it did something, any style that I wanted in any kind of art form. It's called Midjourney. And, you could do a lot of marketing. You can do a lot of ideas with this. You could even have taken your own logo and ask it to do something or anything. So that was one thing. Can you guys see that? Can you guys give me a heads up on here if you're watching? Yes, I saw it, just to make sure this screen is working. I think it is. And so that was Midjourney that did that. And then I wanted to show you one other thing, which is this headshot thing where I ask it to, this thing is called headshots. Oh, all of a sudden I got a bunch of, wow, all of a sudden I had no responses and now I got 1 million responses. Congratulations, Jesus, glad you're okay. Yeah. Whack jobs in the world since COVID. Yeah. Yes. So Joseph, thank you. You can see it. Yes. Looks like steampunk chimney sweep. That's exactly what it was. That's the term I put in, steampunk chimney sweep with a fiery, smoky background. And that's what it did. Fascinating. So let me show you something else. This picture right here. So this picture is it's all AI. I did not take this headshot, but it's called Headshots with a Z, I think, .ai, or maybe some other one. I can't remember what it was. But it says the best headshot you've never taken. And so sometimes, in business, you need a headshot, but I don't want to go and have a photo shoot. And I'm not saying this is a perfect representation, but it's pretty wild. You upload 10 to 20 of your pictures and it puts you in all these different backgrounds. You ask what you want it to do, playing sports or, in a business suit or whatever you're looking for. So you literally, if it's now most of all the renderings that came back to me, it gave me 90 renderings. Most of them were messed up. There was something wrong with my eyes and it just didn't look right. But this one, and there was another one that looked pretty good. I sent, because you can have unlimited updates, I sent a response back and said, hey, I can't use any of these. Although this one was probably the closest to real. Um, I I said I couldn't use any of them, need a redo. So we'll see what they come back with. But this is just coming. I mean, this is just wild that, I could use this for like, if I'm going to do something. I'm not saying it is the one, but that's how close it was. Off 10 selfies of me just doing different stuff, it came up with this. So it's probably the best looking version of me. I'm definitely looking older than that picture, but so that's what I did with AI this week, along with I asked it to write a funny opening for this show. So let me read to you. I didn't use it because it's not that funny, but it's interesting what it said. I said, write a funny opening paragraph to start a Facebook live show that addresses blue collar business owners and employees. And this is what it said. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, welcome to the SureFire live show, where we celebrate the hardworking blue collar business owners and employees out there. Grab your hard hats, put on your steel toe boots, and get ready for some laughs because we're about to talk shop like you've never seen before. That doesn't make sense. And if you're watching this in your cubicle, don't worry. We won't tell your boss. So sit back, relax, and let's get the show on the road. So that was, no, cancel. So that was the intro it gave me for the show tonight. So I might ask it to do an intro every night. So that is that update. I hope you guys played with it this week, messed with it, see if it's something that you can use. I've started using it. Let's talk about the main topic of tonight, which is the future of what's coming. I read some articles in Forbes and some other things, and I think there's some interesting, maybe counterintuitive things that may be on the horizon for business. Now, if you watch enough news, everything is about to blow up, but that is what the news is for, right? The news does not sell good news, right? There's no money in good news. The money is in panic news. The money is in scaring us. And so you have to understand what they're doing because you don't listen to, hey, every airplane landed safely today. Nobody cares about that. Nobody died because of a weather-related incident today. Like, that's not the story. All these countries are almost at war, are about to go to war, or the balloon overhead was shot down by a $500,000 missile. Like, none of that really affects me in my daily life. I mean, if I watch it, I can let it affect me. If I let those things into my head all the time. Now, I do a quick update on the news, but I try to listen to something that's non-biased, maybe slightly conservative leaning, but not hard leaning either way. I listen to the left and the right some. I tend to agree with the right more than the left, but I'm not trying to get into that. It doesn't really affect. If I let it affect my business, my daily business, it will. If I don't let it, I move on through this world like nothing really happened. I'm not saying stick your head in the sand, but there's some people that stick their head so far into politics and the news that they watch it every day for hours. Anything you do every day for hours, unless it's being healthy and working out and making yourself healthier, is probably not a good thing. All right, so I've had a few public announcements today. So let's talk about this Forbes article that I wrote, that I read. It was I just looked up, kind of the future of hey, Yvette. Several people they're saying hi, but they can't stay. Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate you checking in and saying hi. It means a ton to me, no matter what you can do. I love that. Thank you for being so, on the show. And we were talking about you, Yvette, me and Diane when she was here. And you're always just such a fun topic of conversation. And you trying to get me to say something or have Chat GPT say something crazy about that foie gras or whatever that was. It was hilarious. So anyway, good to see you. And then JJ in his normal self, then why are you here? So anyway, you got to know how to take JJ. He's an acquired taste, I should say, but so funny. Oh, Yvette, you didn't see what it said about that foie gras that you asked me to say what it is. It wouldn't answer it because it said the methods to get the goose liver to, I guess, do get bloated or whatever it is that makes that dish good are considered unethical. So it would not tell me what it was or how to perform it. So that was pretty funny. So all right, so on this Forbes article, it said this. It feels like it thinks that the Gen Z, which, if you watch TikTok and stuff, you're like, these kids are worthless. That it thinks actually blue collar work may have actually a revival where it kind of went down with the millennials, not as many. The Gen Z people are getting a slightly different message, and a lot of it is through TikTok and other social media where it shows people doing the work. And what they surveyed 1,000 kids, 1,000 students about what they were told in school about the future. Like, should you were you introduced to any kind of a vocational trade? And less than 20% of kids were even knew about it or talked about it in school. And then also less than 9%, less than 20% was starting your own business, less than 9% was vocational trades. So we still have a long way to go in school. The message to them, like from school, is you got to go to college to have a good life. You have to go to college and get a degree so you can make it. So you can have that stairway to heaven. If you get into blue collar work, you're doomed. Like, it's almost, Mike Rose says it perfectly. Blue collar work is a consolation prize in life. Like, that's what they act like it is. Like, and I've said this before, but I've had customers say really rude things to us about that, even in front of their kids. And I remember one specifically, one of my technicians was in a home and he was working on the gas fireplace. And this man walks in with his son and he said, see the guy working on the fireplace. That's what you're going to have to do if you don't go to college and get good grades. And it was so unbelievable, but this jerk would say that to his kid. Now, my guy responded very well. I said, "No, sir." He said, "It's not true." He said, "I went to college and I've actually got a degree, but I chose to do blue collar work because it's more fulfilling in my life." And I sent a message back to that customer that pissed me off. And I said that I believe that that's a wrong message. And I especially don't appreciate it from my employees. And the guy apologized. He said he didn't realize how it came across, but I didn't want my employees to hear that or have to put up with it. And I'm glad my guy, basically defended himself. But that's still the message, right? But there's the Gen Z people. They're not really listening to all that. A lot of them are being homeschooled, and a lot of them are watching social media where they're showing blue collar people doing work that looks pretty satisfying instead of sitting in front of a computer or setting up an Amazon account or, making some Amazon business that has no fulfillment in life. Literally making something, doing something is becoming more popular with that generation. Next, what they talk about is that there's no debt. They don't have to go into debt to get it. Schools are costing more than ever. And so they don't have to go into debt. They can get in early. They can do paid apprenticeships. They can try a lot of trades before they determine if they like one or not. And I always say this about the chimney business, chimney industry. It's one of those things where for sure you don't think you're going to like it, but a lot of people end up really loving it. The more you finally get into it, the more I think education you get, the more success you have. All of a sudden, you like it more. I've seen the light switch turn in guys where they start and they don't know if they like this. And a lot of times there's not a lot to like. I mean, it's literally, they don't know what the hell we're talking about. They don't know any of the words we're using. They have to work up high. It might be hard work. They maybe have never worked like that before. Like, there's a lot of it that's not to like, but all of a sudden, when the light bulb clicks in their head and they get it, there is some people and a lot of people that stay in the trade all of a sudden love the industry. There's just something about it that they like doing it. And then they start promoting it, becoming, they're in it for the rest of their life. Um, so this is, I can't quite tell who this is. I think I found out why a lot of these say Facebook users and some of them don't tell me who it is till you tell me. There's some kind of an approval or some kind of a thing you have to check in StreamYard that lets me see who you are. But this says it perfectly. I always say I didn't pick the chimney industry; it picked me. That's so true, and I feel the same way. Like I found it in when I was writing an article for when I was in college to start. I was starting a business. It was a mock business, and I found chimney sweeping through that. Our house had caught on fire when I was a lot younger, so it kind of picked me and knew about it. And then it was like a business I could start for not that much money. And for a long time, I wanted to play music and do something else. And I liked this business. Okay. I liked helping people and I liked doing some of the work, but I always thought there was something else for me. I'm like, this isn't, I'm sure I'm here on this earth to do something different than sweep chimneys. And I tried a lot of different things and chimneys just kept working and they just kept working. And I just finally said, you know what? For some reason, this is a sign that I should stay in chimneys. I should come out of the shadows. Nobody knew who I was. I should try to I should try to talk the industry and see if I can help at all, see if I can learn more. And I finally started going to conventions. But by the time I went to my first convention in 2003, I'd been in the business 15, 18 years before anybody had I'd even talked to anybody else in the chimney business. Nobody even heard of me or anything. And I've been in the business 18 years. Now these guys, I mean, shoot, you hear about them and they've just been in business 1 year or 5 years. But it was the moment that I finally go, you know what? I'm going to go full in. And finally, that's when I started getting momentum, is when I fully got full in my brain that I'm going to chase this rabbit. I'm not chasing 5 rabbits. I'm going to chase this rabbit and I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch it and I'm going to make this work. And that's when everything changed for me, is when I finally clicked in my head. It took me a long time. A lot of people click much quicker. A couple more things here. It says there were vocational schools available when I went to school. I learned dental assisting and Johnny P learned welding. Then they slowly disappeared. Is this Diane? Diane, I think this is you. So yeah, there were some vocational schools, but it was never like promoted as a good thing. Shop teacher was missing a finger. Like, we did woodwork, but these guys were rough and they never brought anybody in from that world that was successful. So you're like, oh, this is just something I got to do or get out of another class. I had woodworking, and I think we need that though, but we need people that teach it that are successful. We need people that teach it that are going to show the good part, not the broken down guy who's done it for 50 years and he's crippled and missing a finger. And, you know what I mean? Like something that's really cool. But any program is better than no program. And then Yvette says, if your weekly meetings says to click. So I can't read that first part. If your weekly message to get in says to click the stream link to give permission to show your name, takes 2 seconds to do so. Right. So there's a link. Then Vince went to chef school before starting sweeping, front the whites to the blacks and never looked back. I'm not sure what that means. That must be some Canadian lingo, but that was, hey, what's up, partner? I'm not sure who this is, but hey, what's up? That was my experience. I bet a lot of people have a similar experience, but my point is, when it clicks with somebody, it clicks. And some of these younger people, when it clicks, it really clicks. I've got some superstar young people that are excited. Now, I have to know they're probably not going to stay with me their whole life. I actually don't want them to. I don't want them to be with me their whole life. I want them to give me a good amount of time so they can get trained, or realize it's not for them. Give me some time, but I don't want you to have to stay with me your whole life unless you want to. If you've done enough and you're like, this is really what I want to do, I want you with me, and man, we will go far. Because sometimes it's just not for people to start their own business, but they want to be tucked right in behind the leader, and we grow far as a team. And I have to have those people. But if you're not digging it or you've got some other calling, I need you to go do that. I'm not holding anybody back. But if your calling is to work on a team and you like the way I lead businesses, man, I love that. And I've got a lot of those people. We work as a great team, and them by themselves is not a good thing. And me by myself is definitely not a good thing. I need people. They need me. We work as a great team. There's a lot. You can go far as a team, right? They say if you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go with others. And so for us, we want to go far. So I bring others with me, and we today, this last week, the what's happening in our powder coating business was fascinating. There's times big things happen in the chimney business and other things, but everything moves at its own speed. I can't control much of it. A lot of it just comes. So this is Chad. So, this must be Chad Murray. So I don't know, Chad. I don't know why it's not showing your name. So anyway, good to see you, Chad. Hope you're doing well. So on the surveys, they tell them basically don't go to vocational school, go to college still, and that's going to change. A couple other things. There are more training opportunities than ever for this version, this level of people. Johnny P says all the time, he goes, dude, if I would have had like shows like yours, Mark, and podcasts and training, all the things that show you how to run businesses when I was starting, I would have a much bigger business. But we didn't have it around. So with all the training opportunities, some people think there's too much, but there's not. And all the podcasts and YouTube videos and possibilities for people to learn. And CSI is putting on a lot of classes, and a lot of people are putting on a lot of classes. That gives you faith in the next generation that they will go so much faster, further, better. So to me, all these training opportunities and all the people investing in training is very exciting for the next generation that's going to take over. Yvette says, because the road work ain't my thing anymore. Right. So the, here's another one. I started doing retail, went into selling furniture to reorganizing other people's business. Now I run our business. Right. I think everybody has to bop around. But again, training, all these training things are good. And I think we're in good hands as long as those things continue. What's interesting about the US that I think is different about other countries is I was speaking to some guys in Germany that have chimney sweep schools there. And they were saying there's almost nobody in the schools over there. Like they're not generating very many certified, trained chimney technicians out of the school. There's nobody coming out to take over. Now they have a much more rigorous class schedule than we do. We go to school for a week and we pass a few tests and we're certified. They have to go through 3 to 4 years of school and apprenticeship for years. They have to apprenticeship and go to school for a total of 8 years before they can start their own business. So it's very different. But they don't have anybody going because we've told them this message that go to school, get a degree so you don't have to do the blue collar work. Well, it's coming home to roost. The fact is, and it's the reason I wrote the book back in 16 is because you could see this coming. It's written plain as day. When we've told everybody to do this, the money is over here. Right? If you tell everybody to go to school, then the school degree becomes less valuable. And the people who are sitting over here doing the thing that these people don't know how to do can get all the money. These people have a less valuable thing, and these people have a more valuable trade and skill. You can see it coming. It's so clear that it's coming. And also, you still have to have the guy pave the road, put the electricity in the house, lay the brick, do the thing. But what we've learned is you can charge more and more money, and it's a very different life because of that. It used to be blue collar work was way less than white collar work. And as you know, a lot of average starting salaries for, people with college degrees are like 40,000. In blue collar, it starts at 50 to 60,000. It's very different. The tide has changed on that, and it's going to keep changing. A couple more things. Like I just said, salaries have been updated and they still don't quite show right. Because in my area, a blue collar guy makes pretty much more than a police officer or fire department guy does. Like more than a teacher by far. That wasn't always the case. Blue collar was kind of on the bottom of the skill trades unless you were in the union. But now it's very much different. Also, on a business opportunity side, more more older, like Gen X, like me, baby boomers are starting to get out of the business or retiring and moving on, and a lot of those businesses are becoming available. So now the next generation put their stuff together, can roll these businesses up and move faster because it's already now level 2, level 3, a second generation, third generation business, instead of starting everything from the ground up. Also, they're much better at technology, and they're much better at implementing technology and automation than the mom and pop businesses were. A lot of these mom and pops are still on paper. I still see them around town. People handwrite their receipt. They don't have any automation in their marketing program, their text follow up, their text when the job's coming, any automation in scheduling or phones or any of those kind of things. But the new guys starting business all have that. They all want it and want more of it. And Chad and I are working on a software program that is basically built for chimney companies by chimney guys who know what we need. And it's pretty exciting. Probably, maybe it's hard to say, but maybe 6 months we'll start to demo it out and see it. But it's pretty exciting. It's got some neat things in it that we've never seen in other software that may help our industry. So, I'm always on the front edge of what's new to try to use, because, when you get older in life, you have a little bit more wisdom. Hopefully you have a little bit more money. One of my favorite sayings ever is it's okay to be born poor, but it's not okay to die poor. It's not your fault to be born poor, but it's definitely your fault to die poor. So I don't know if that rings to you, but it's basically up to you, especially, in most Western civilizations, a lot of your decisions make the outcome. And so I like to focus on all the things I can do while I can do it, because there'll be a day I can't do it. And hopefully I'll plant the flag in the ground and say, this is what I got done in this life. And, hand off the baton to somebody else and watch them run the race. But a couple more things. Then I read another article from a company called ePay Systems. I'm not sure who that is, but they said that, here's another one, Diane here. In Germany, they pay for the university, so that takes away from the sweep school. They pay for you. Oh, so you're saying that I know they pay for the sweep school, but if we've bragged on other education, white collar, not blue collar, then more people will just take the white collar. Now, I was told, Diane, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think you take a battery of tests when you're like 12, and they tell you which school, which path you're on. Now, maybe that's changed, but I think when I remember I interviewed Andreas Gartner from Germany, he said there was a battery of tests, and then they say you're basically white collar. You can go blue collar, but we won't pay for it. But you go white collar, we pay for it, and vice versa. If you're, if you tested for the one, they will pay for the one. But if you go opposite, they don't pay. Now, I don't know if that's still the case, but that's what they told me. So they kind of controlled the narrative. But if they've told everybody that we'll pay for anything you want to go to, then who wants to do the hard work, especially in their society where the government controls your costs? And the chimney sweeps basically can't fix chimneys. They have to inspect only. They get X amount of dollars, like $50 per chimney sweep. Like, it's a good life for them, but it's hard to scale the business. It's always you doing the work in that scenario. So again, I think the U.S. has a very different thing. You look at any of the schools, any of the classes, there's a lot of young people, and there are a lot of people interested in this industry. I have a lot of young guys that like it. So I have a lot of faith that this industry is in good hands, and we will continue to grow. I know the CSI is investing in a lot of stuff. Pretty exciting stuff is going to be announced at the national show. I think this year we didn't have time at the NCSG convention, and we didn't have a slot to do our announcements necessarily, other than a night when we was going to compete with some other people. So we're going to be joining forces with Saver Systems and Nationals to give at their event to give our awards and our announcements. So that will be exciting for us to do that. Couple more things on ePay Systems. It says now we pay more, and we all know that. You come out of the gate, You don't have a lot of debt, and you get paid more right off the bat. And a lot of people are interested in that. Employers will switch. Employees will switch easier for more money. So forever, there was a long time we could not get people to come to workforce. You couldn't find them; they wouldn't show up. What I've seen lately is there's more people available as long as you're offering enough money. And it's tough. And I believe this. I believe you should offer and pay as much as you can right off the bat. The old way to do it was to start them low, start them really low, as cheap as you could, because you didn't know if they're going to work out. You still had to train them. They were going to cost you money at the beginning because they're slowing you down. So the idea was start somebody as low as you can and then pay them more as they got better. Well, a lot of times paying more wasn't really set in stone. Maybe the first raise after 90 days and $1 after a year or after you get certified or whatever it is, but it's really out of their hands on how, or when you're ready, I'll give you a raise. But now I think that ship has sailed for starting people cheap, because you'll never see the great people walk through the door. They can't walk through the door. You will get the bottom of the barrel starting cheap. You'll get somebody that doesn't have any other choices, doesn't have a driver's license, has lost a bunch of other jobs, but for us, we pay as much as we can coming out of the gate. And then now I'm not saying we're not wrong about some of them don't work out, but what's more expensive, me paying too much for 60 days or me never seeing a superstar come in the company? Like, I can promise you, the guys who are superstar, they show themselves in about 90 days to 6 months. You'll know if they're worth it. And then sometimes superstars take a minute to finally come out of their shell. But I can tell you this, you're much better. You're saving money by paying as much as you can to start with these next level people than you are like trying to have them believe into the dream that they'll make more money later. Like, I don't believe in that anymore. I used to. We started everybody cheap as we could, and we had to train them, and great chance they were screwing up. And it made sense to me, because then I could just put out an ad and more people would come. But now it's not like that. We pay as much as we possibly can right off the bat. Also, expanding healthcare and other benefits. Many blue collar jobs now offer white collar type benefits, like very good. I think you have to do this too to be competitive in the marketplace. Good healthcare, 401ks, dental, eyes, those kind of things. Also, sometimes they offer other benefits like wealth management, like they bring in training for their employees to manage the money that they're going to make, like other level benefits, more vacation time, better vacation time, different flex hours to work. We have started moving into the white collar benefits world that we didn't used to do in blue collar. It was lucky to have health insurance if you work for a blue collar business. Now it's kind of almost standard, which is exciting and good for the people, I think. But we have had to charge more. All these things don't cost you more. When you think, oh, it costs me more, it should not cost you any more. It should cost the customer more. If you balance your numbers right, because you got a big pay increase or a cost increase in your insurance, or because you're offering now healthcare or 401k or whatever you want to offer, that doesn't cost you, the owner, any more money. You should not look at it like that way. One, it should make you more money. One, you charge more to the customer, but two, now you have stickier employees that stay retained longer. So that, every time you lose an employee, it's at least $20,000 you lost in training, at least, or more. That's just for a new guy, you lost $20,000 to retrain somebody, what you lost, what they've messed up, and all that. So the point is, we now offer better benefits so people stay around longer, and you have fewer people you're competing with, because in my world, not all the chimney companies in my area offer the kind of benefits we have. They definitely don't have the stability that we have, or the name we have, or the awards that we have. And so we lose people. We lost more people this last 2 years than I've ever lost in business. Some of them had to go. Some of them I hated to see go. Some of them were mistakes on our part. Some of them were mistakes on their part. But it was a pretty big turnover in people, this year for us. Almost every time, though, I have to say, almost every single time we got better from it. The people who moved into the slot next were better. The person that we brought on to replace them was better. And it just worked that way. It almost always does that work way. It works that way. It's very rare you lose somebody like, and it's a big hole in your business. Somebody steps up, does a good job, learn from them, learn what not to do, and goes to the next level. We almost always improve that way. Probably 95%. Now, there's been some times I lost some people that hurt, especially personally. You know, I lost my best friend, Chris Adair. He moved. His family moved to another place to be closer to other family as they were aging. And he was my production manager, and I hated losing that guy. But the guy who stepped into his place was absolutely amazing and took Chris's level to the next level. And, you know, we kept moving, but it was hard. It was a hard felt one. So let's see. Yeah. Let me see if there's any more things on the comments. So I got about 15 more minutes. I'm going to finish up this article and then open it up for questions, or if you want me to ask Chat GPT something that's reasonable. JJ, a question what he'll ask me to ask it if he's still on here. But so lastly, one thing that attracts people, two things. One is safety, and two is environmental concerns. So one, being safe in your company, having a culture of safety, being safer, having things for employees to be safer while they work is very important to employees. And in fact, if you don't have it, you look kind of bad. You look like you're not professional these days if you don't have a serious safety culture. I can tell you this, safety is still a problem for me to get everybody. I've got all the equipment. We've done a ton of training. We've had even guys go out and check jobs, but to literally get the guys to be safe on their own without literally buckling it on them every day is hard. These are grown men. I'm not a babysitter, but I do have had people say, at least you're giving me the equipment. It's part of the thing. You know, it's part of what we do. I always feel like we could do better with that. Secondly, environmentally friendly stuff. So switching businesses, my powder coating business, the reason it's blowing up is because it is far and away more environmentally friendly than paint. And so many companies are switching away from paint because of all the volatiles, the solvents, all the oil-based stuff, all the things that are that make paint are also what makes powder coating very, like, it's not hard on the employees. It's like a nuisance dust. It's not so hard breathing it in on people. Disposing of it is easy. All you have to do is put the powder in, you know, whatever the throwaway powder is, you put it in a container, put it in the oven, it bakes down to a solid. It's not hazardous. All the chemicals we use to clean the materials with, to steam clean and degrease and etch, are all environmentally friendly to just go in wastewater. And the whole process is very green. And so, again, I not politically green. I think the government and all this environmental stuff is mostly BS as usual. I'm not that, but I am for making things cleaner. I am for, you know, making things less wasteful, that type of things. And if it makes sense, and my main thing is it better for my employees? So, you know, that's why I like powder coating better than painting. We had painting, we have powder coating now, and the world is coming to us. I'm telling you. If you're looking for a business opportunity, you ought to look into powder coating, because you could easily set up an operation almost anywhere, scale it, build it. It's very, and it's coming on board and becoming more and more popular, and it's more and more needed. And so I think, especially as America starts to bring more manufacturing back to the US away from China, that we will have a lot of opportunity to powder coat, you know, just everything that's needed to be coated, to be colored or outside or even underground. And then also the move to electric, whether you like it or not, it's just coming. I went to the car show in Vegas, SEMA, and every car had electric on it somewhere. Now, there's the argument, does it really save the environment? Really, at this point, it doesn't. It costs in a different way, but everything's coming on board electric. I have a lot more people ask me for electric fireplaces. Electric fireplaces have come a long way. Some of them look really good, and it's an easy option. So understand the burning of solid fuel over time is going to be less and less. It's just a fact. whether it's for the environment or not, it's the getting the solid fuel, having access to it, wanting to deal with it, wanting to deal with the dangers of it. Like all that is just, unfortunately going to go out of favor. But that doesn't mean our business goes out of favor. We still got a lifetime worth of chimneys to work on that were built. People still will use them for whatever they use them for. They got to be retrofitted. They got to be upgraded, upfitted, fixed, torn down. Like there's a million things to do. What you don't want to do is advertise mainly that you're a chimney sweep company. That itself, in fact, this year's marketing for us, I'm not putting chimney sweeping in almost any of our marketing. They know we chimney sweep. It's part of the thing. But what they don't know is all the other services I provide. And if you're looking in the future, you better make sure you look at other services that you can provide that wrap around what you're known for. And that's fine. Like for us, like venting furnaces is going away. Like they're going electric. They don't need to be vented, or they're vented straight out. They don't use orphan flues. So furnace liners in our world, I could see it coming a long time ago. We almost do no furnace liners. Now, if you're in the Northeast, it's still a big business. But understand that's on the horizon. Understand sweeping of creosote. When I used to sweep chimneys were filthy. I mean, every day I was dirty as heck. Now my guys barely come back dirty at all. Now we have better technology and better prevention, but they're just not as dirty, period. Now I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's a metropolitan area, but I bet you've seen the same thing. It's just not as well. So Jeffrey says here in California, electric is a touchy subject. We get our power shut off with heavy storms or high winds. They're trying to eliminate gas inside homes. So what do I market? Yeah, you know what? I agree. I'm against them, what they're doing with natural gas, because of all the things, if you look at what the U.S. did as far as reducing greenhouse gases, natural gas was one of the leading ways we did it. But so what do you do? I don't know what you do totally. I know you looked at some other businesses. I know you looked at, during COVID, you had a business startup. Again, I don't know what it is, but for us, it would be electric fireplaces. It would be, I don't know if you've seen the net zero mist fireplaces from Mendota. There's several of those. Electric, they'll fix the power grid, I think. I mean, who knows with California, you're in a weird situation. Everywhere else they would fix it. They'd figure it out. They would add things online. For you, I think they want more solar and wind, which is always up and down. It's hard to say. They may kill the dang chimney business in California. So you may have to move to Tennessee, JJ. And if you want to, we'll make room. We'll water down the soup. We will put another seat at the table, and we'd be glad to have you. But I don't know about California. I can only speak to what I know, which is we're pretty pro-business here in the South. That's why everybody's moving here, because we're pro-business. We want business. We are we have good taxation. We have overall good government, and we have good financial controls, and we just do it better, friendlier. So there's no thing on the horizon that's going to put us out of business. You'll sell chocolate bonbons. I'd like to see that. I bet you could, man. It would be funny. Like, I think you would be hilarious at selling them, because you would just, your take on things would be funny. I'd like to see it. You're welcome to come audition, at the shop. We have a certain kind of hat you have to wear. It's in an apron, but you'd look good in it. So that was my end, was the fire. So I think employees want to know that you stand for something other than just making money. I think that you can't just be about making money and making the business owner richer. You have to be about, how do I enrich the lives of the employees along with your own life, right? I need to show that all this hard work is paid off. I have some nice things. I get to take some amazing trips. Well, shouldn't you get to do that? Like, even if, like, that's what the point of this thing is. I mean, people watching what you do, there's got to be a payoff somewhere. And for me, I love giving to charity, and we have a couple of charities I've worked with and still work with. So I take care of that, take care of the family, take care of me, take care of the future me, and take care of the people that are in my charge. And, Jonah Lindley, who's our manager for Knoxville, he sent me a thing from Simon Sinek that says, CEOs, we're not in charge. We're not the guys in charge. In some ways we are, but we take care of the people in our charge. Our main job, my main job now, is to make sure I take care of the people. I don't service the customers. I rarely see customers. Sometimes I see one last week. I'll see one next week. But we service 300 customers a day. So I see very few of them. I love that. I love going to see people, but I have to take care of the people, my people that take care of them. And they really appreciate that. I've got a work release program at my powder coat business. And I can tell you, I say it a lot, but it's one of the most rewarding programs I didn't start it. The funny thing is, the guy who owned the business before me started because he could get cheap labor. That's why I brought him in. Cheap labor, super cheap. And then he did all the work with the work release guys, and he still kind of treated them like criminals. Well, for me, I'm totally different than that. I'm not trying to get cheap labor. I'm trying to build into these men a trade, what good leadership looks like, what hard work looks like, how it pays off. And then when they step out of the jail process, how do I put into them so they don't slip back in? Now, I can't control that, but we've got a couple guys who have paroled out and they're still with us. We gave them big raises, gave them benefits, help them get on, because it's so hard for them to get their foot back on the merry-go-round. This world is spinning fast, and if you spent some time in jail and made some mistakes, you try to step back on it, and it just smashes you. And the next thing you know, you're doing something dumb again because you're trying to make it work, and you're back in jail. And it's easy to be judgmental on people, but you put yourself in their spot for a second, and also to think how much brain power we have in prison. Like, these guys are smart. I love working with them and being around them because, one, they're very respectful. They're hungry. They want to be me. They want to be out. They would love to have a business. They want to be with a group that's positive, because all they've been around a lot of times is crap. And so I love this program, but I love because I build into them. I'm always giving them books. I'm asking them what they're reading, how they read. I check up on them. I make sure they're reading them. I ask them what they learn, what they like. Then they'll tell me the next book they're reading or what they're doing. I just dig it. And my head guy, my first guy who paroled out, and he's still with us, he's our head powder coater. He's now going back to the prisons this week and speaking to the group they've asked him to come in and talk to the group. You talk about a good feeling. And I talked to him a lot this week because we can do a lot with the guy. He just made some mistakes. I mean, who hasn't made mistakes? And some people have made a lot of mistakes. They just didn't get caught for them. And a lot of people should be in jail that aren't. I mean, especially JJ. I'm sure he's been on the edge of prison multiple times and just skated by. But I know I've done some stupid stuff. And I mean, life can give you, you can sometimes get lucky. But these guys are great. And they're interested in the future of what's going on. I think the people, I plead the fifth. I think you have to have hope. I think you have to put into people like they're going to be great, and then you let the chips fall where they may. That's what I do, and that's how I get to manage people. I get to lead people, and more people want to come with us. But I respect them. I want the best for them. I will do everything, and I work super hard for them to have the best. Doesn't always work out. Some people just won't work. They just won't. They can't take it. They fight with me, or it's just not a good fit, and they have to move on. But the ones who play, that's the ones I'm excited about. Guys, super good night. Hope you're having fun. I hope you like some of the stuff I showed on Chat GPT. And I might have a technology update. I might let it write a few more intros because it wasn't too bad. It's kind of funny. All right, guys, have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. See you. Night, JJ. Bye-bye.